So, this week's parasha seems to be a sensitive parasha where we see, is the video on? Yes?
Yeah.
When we see Leah seems to be being a second wife, suffering. We're going to be in Perek Chavtet, Pasuk Lamed and on. So we see Leah seems to suffer a lot. The Midrash said that Leah was supposed to be the wife of Esau. The Gemara says that Leah, she looked ugly because she was crying a lot. Was crying way too much to the feeling, the concern that eventually she was going to be married to Esau, and she didn't want to be married to Esau. It is interesting, there was one more person who was supposed to be maybe married to Esau. Who was it? Rachel. When Rachel didn't bring children to Yaakov, she called her son by the name of Yosef, Asaf Hashem Echartati, Hashem gathered my embarrassment. Rashi said that Rachel, she didn't have children, she was concerned, maybe I have to be married to Esau. And Esau, when he heard that Rachel has no children, he said, okay, she's going to be married to me. What's compelling? First thing, that Rachel will be married to Esau. I mean, can't he marry anybody else? Now, would Esau, Rachel has no choice? She cannot make her own decision? Nobody! You can't force a woman to marry. A Ktana, you can force. The father, according to the Torah, can marry off his daughter Ktana. Today, you can't tell even your daughter Ktana what to do. But back then, you were able to marry off whoever you want. But they were already adults. You cannot force Rachel to marry into Esau. What is the biggest concern of Rachel? So, Hashem saw that this relationship between, we know that, obviously, quick background, that Yaakov asked the father, Lavan, I want to marry your daughter Rachel. We know that he fell in love in Rachel from the first sight. She was a beautiful girl versus her sister. She wasn't a beautiful girl because of the tears. She was crying, she didn't look good. And he loved Rachel. And he was supposed to, after 7 years of work, he was supposed to marry Rachel. And during the party, after the party at night, was a special shtick done by Lavan, and instead of Rachel, he got up in the morning like, dun, 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 dun. He sees Leah, what the hell are you doing? Who are you? What's going on over here? And Leah seems to be cooperating. She cooperates in this crime because in order for Leah to marry Yaakov was concerned that Lavan is a very tricky guy. So he gave special signs to Rachel. He told Rachel, I know that your father, combinato, right? He's combinot. So therefore, to confirm he's not going to do it, I'm going to give you special signs and give it to me at night. Because back then everything was dark, and not like today we have light. At night, give me the sign, I know it's you. Rachel gave the signs to Leah. Leah was part of this crime, and Aboker ve'inei Leah. Okay, but he turned over to Lavan. He says, Lavan, what's going on? I married. I paid for Rachel. And he said, okay, I'm going to work another 7 years. Not for today to explain it. Sorry, Rafi. And another 7 years. And give me Rachel. And right away he gave him Rachel and he worked for Rachel the following 7 years. So naturally, Leah felt the second important to Yaakov. The Torah said that Leah felt snua. She felt hated by Yaakov. And because she felt hated, Hashem did a miracle for her. Initially, Rachel and Leah both couldn't bring children. So, since Hashem saw that Snua, she's being hated, Vayiftach et Rachma, Hashem opened the womb of Rachel, a special thing because she is hated. Question is, anyone who feels hated, Hashem will do a miracle for them to suddenly having children. So that's a solution. A woman who can't have children will go, feel hated, and then you're going to have children. What's significant and what's the meaning of the word being hated? That first stage Hashem opened her womb and she started having children. Followed by, when she had the first child, she said, Ki ra'a Hashem be'oni. Hashem saw that I'm so poor, and He gave me the first son, and she called the first son Reuven. So she seems to have certain inconsistency with her feeling. On the first place, she felt herself being snua, hated. Now she feels poor. Who makes you poor? You have the richest husband in the world. He has all of the means. And also all of Yaakov is a very generous guy. So why do you feel poor? Why is the content of poor related? Usually when we feel bad, we try to bring various ways to describe our feeling. However, the Torah is very accurate. In the description of the Torah, she felt hated, she felt poor. Prior to feeling hated, it doesn't seem to be consistent. So the first son name was Reuven. Mazer Reuven. Hashem saw that I'm so poor, and therefore he gave me Reuven. Rashi brings, it's a Gemara, very interesting understanding of Leah. Leah said, let's see the difference between the son of my father-in-law to my son. Who is the son of her father-in-law? Esav.
Right.
So she said, Esav sold the Bechorah to Yaakov. So by choice, he sold the Bechorah, and Esav eventually wanted to kill him. Reuven, the Bechorah, was taken away from him to Yosef, and he didn't do anything wrong to him. So she's definitely comparing between Esav to her first son, Reuven. So first question would be, what's a comparison? What's the connection between Esav to Reuven? The other issue I have, she described Esav, ויקרא שמו בישראל, Ben Hamid, the son of my father-in-law. What a description to a man. She should have said very clear, what's the difference between Esav to my son Reuven? Why so she describing Esav to be the son of my father-in-law? It is coming to describe, let's say, the son of my mother-in-law, because usually a daughter-in-law, she has an issue with her mother-in-law. The Gemara said, בידוע שכלה שונאת לחמותה. Kala, a daughter-in-law, hates her mother-in-law. That's Gemara. I'm not saying anything about anybody. My wife is here, but nothing. It's my mother, But Kala שונאת לחמותה. There is always tension between a daughter-in-law to a mother. So if she said, the son of my mother-in-law, I can understand why she described him like that. But describing him the son of my father-in-law has no meaning, no impact. We're going forward. When she had the third child, finally, she had Reuven, Shimon, Levi. She said, whoa, Rashi says, Ata apam yilave ishi elai. My husband now will escort me because I gave him 3 children. So when we were kids, we describe it because mom can take one child in one hand, second child in another hand. The third one was going to run to the street. So you need daddy to help. That's why 3 children will accompany me. But Rashi said something else. Rashi says, Ilavei ishi elai. He said, she knew that there are 4 mothers. Since we have 4 mothers, there were supposed to be 12 tribes. 12 divided by 4. Very good. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. So each mother is supposed to have 3 children. So now she accomplished the goal of being like a regular mother. So Rashi says, she said, now you cannot complain about me anymore. Why can't complain? Because I already gave him what I was supposed to give. That means that Yaakov is supposed to complain. In case that his wife has no children, he's supposed to complain. And she said, thank God I brought my amount, my commitment, I brought the 3, now no complaints. But we know who usually complains at home? The woman, who complains here in the Torah? Who did the complaints? Rachel is the one who complained to Yaakov why she doesn't have children. Not Yaakov complaining to Rachel, I don't have children. Not Yaakov complaining to Rachel, how come you don't bring children? She complained to Yaakov. So Leah is saying, thank God, my husband cannot complain about me why I didn't bring the children. He never complained. What do you mean? You're making up concern and stories and you're calling your son a name? Now will escort me because he's not going to complain. He never wanted to complain. Why would he complain that she make a big thing? Okay, I have 3 children, now they're going to complain anymore. He's not there to complain. He's busy paying mortgage. There's no time complaining. He's busy at work. Why is so? We're describing a special complaints. And from here we depart into an unbelievable dialogue. Rachel, after the first child now, Leah has the first child, Yehuda. The Pasuk says, "Vatekane Rachel be'achota." Rachel is jealous of her sister of having children. She said to Yaakov, "Ava li banim, give me children. V'im ha'emet anochi, I'm going to die." It's a very dramatic description. You're not going to die, honey. You're fine. You're going to live. This saying, "I'm going to die," obviously it's exaggerating, but look about our mothers. Every word, every sentence has a full meaning to it. Why she said she's going to die? She's not going to die, not going to have children. She might going to suffer, she's not going to die. Yet the bigger problem is, a woman who doesn't have children, she's not supposed to be upset why her sister has children. The complaint should be, how come I don't have children? Why is she blaming Leah? So Rashi give an insight. Rashi explained that Leah, she said, Leah yesh la ma'asim tovim, and that's why she has children. I don't have ma'asim tovim, so she turned over to Yaakov. Yaakov, pray for me. But hold on, Rachel, what's your problem? Why Leah? What do you think Leah has children? She has ma'asim tovim, good deeds. So what Rachel should have to do now?
Have good deeds.
Move, good deeds, tasi ma'asim tovim. Why are you complaining? Then she turned over to Yaakov, and what a statement. She says, your father, Yitzchak, he said, pray for your mother to have children. How come you don't pray for me? That's an akal. You father, pray for your mother to have children. How come you don't pray for me? But let me ask you a question. Did Yitzchak pray only for his mom to have children, or for himself also? When Yitzchak prayed in previous Parashat, Yitzchak and Rivka were praying together to have children. He prayed for himself, and he prayed for Rivka. The way Rachel described it, your dad prayed for your mom to have children. He didn't pray for your mom, he prayed for himself. And she accused Yaakov, that's why you have to pray for me. Now Yaakov gave her, this is the worst example of a husband in the world. If your wife comes to you with a pain, how come I don't have children? Pray for me. Vayichar Yaakov b'Rachel, getting upset, getting angry. You know where the next time that the Torah described this word, Vayichar Yaakov, he gets angry? When Lavan spoke with him, and he proved him that he was upset at Lavan while he chased him. So we also use the same description, Vayichar Yaakov. That means very harsh, big anger. And what is he saying to Rachel who complained, please pray for me? Says Rashi, this is really mind-boggling. He said, says Rashi, so the Pasuk says, Atachat Elohim Anochi, Asher mana mimech pri batem. Am I instead of God who withheld from you children? Says Rashi, don't compare me to my father. Why? My father didn't have kids, and that's why he prayed. I have kids. Who did Hashem withhold children from? You. Umana mimech, lo mimeni. Yani, in other words, in the slang in Hebrew, Umar latichanki. What's going on over here? Wow. That's the way you answer a wife. She suffered, she cries. She said, I'm going to die if you're not going to do it. No. What did Hashem want children? ממך, לא ממני. מה זה? נכון? No, doesn't make sense. This dialogue, the giants, האבות הקדושים. We're supposed to learn from them how to talk, not to get angry. The following solution was that Rachel said to Yaakov said to Rachel, I can share with you, I can give you a good advice. My grandfather, my grandmother, Sarah Imenu, when she didn't have children, she brought Hagar. She was the concubine, the Pilegesh. She was the Pilegesh of Abraham, and she converted to be a wife. And then Sarah had children. So maybe you should do the same. This is the most embarrassing advice that the husband can give. By the way, you have a cleaning lady, you know? So maybe I should marry a cleaning lady, and then Hashem will give you another job. That also Yaakov. What a message giving you. Why? Okay. But he presented on a very classic way. What did he say? No, it's for you, you know? For you, את רוצה ילדים, so, get married to me. מה אתה עושה פה? And Rachel followed this instruction, like, what's going on over here? Really, all the story literally doesn't make sense. I want to finish, salesman tov, huh? So, I want to finish 2 more questions. We spoke about Rachel, when Rachel named Yosef, because when Rachel saw, Baruch Hashem, suddenly she has a child by the name of Yosef, Asaf Hashem echartati, Hashem collect my embarrassment, and we said, because she said, I have no children, she was concerned, maybe she will be married to Esau. So now she has a child, she's not going to be married to Esau. And we asked, why, if you have no children, you're supposed to be married to Esau? Okay, you don't have children, married to somebody else. Why would Rachel go to Esau? Lastly, by the way, another thing interesting, next week Parashat, we know that Dinah, when Yaakov came out of the house of Laban, Esau came to kill him, and he worked things out beyond today's discussion. But so when he met Esau first time, he hid Dinah in a box. Lama? Shema iten enav oto rasha. Maybe Esau will look at her, she looks beautiful, and he will want to marry her. So what did he do? He hid her in a box. Is he a good father or not? Good father is protect his daughter. Says the Gemara, later on in the parasha, she was raped by Shechem ben Hamor. You know why it happened to her? He withheld her from his brother, and now he got punishment that she was raped by Hamor. What do you want from her? From him? He's a good father. He's supposed to protect his daughter. Why are we blaming him and giving him such a big punishment? So, in order to understand, we need to establish the people, the dmuyot, the identities of each one, who he was, where he was. I want to start from earlier in the game. Yitzchak and Rivka were praying to have the 2 most beautiful children, Yaakov and Esau. The Torah says, Vayetar Yitzchak laHashem lenochach ishto. Yitzchak were praying to Hashem on 2 sides of the room. Says Rashi, הוא עומד בצד אחד ומתפלל, he stand on one corner and he prays, and she stand in another corner and she prays. Why? Shalom bayit issue, yeah? They don't want to be together praying, so each one take his own corner. What's going on over here? We know that Hashem listen, כתוב, ויעתר לו Hashem. Hashem listened to the tefillah of Yitzchak, not to the tefillah of Rivka. Says why? Says the Gemara, אינו דומה תפילה של צדיק בן צדיק לצדיק בן רשע. You cannot compare tzaddik son of tzaddik to tzaddik son of rasha. That means, since she's the daughter of rasha, her tefillah would not be accepted, which is a less tefillah. But Rabbi said, we know, במקום שבעלי תשובה עומדים, where בעלי תשובה are standing, צדיקים גמורים לא יכולים לעמוד. They were most righteous people, which means if you put a tzaddik in a בעל תשובה, tzaddik of tzaddik and tzaddik of rasha, who's the highest one? Tzaddik ben Rasha. So how come Hashem answered his tefillah and not her tefillah? And that's the beginning of understanding. Rivka came from a house of a mafia guy, Lavan. Even her shidduch that was done by Eliezer, they almost murdered Eliezer by giving him poison to eat that he shouldn't marry her. Family of thieves, murderer, very complicated situation. From the mafia family. Yitzchak, we know, what an amazing man. Avraham Avinu, learning all day. Beautiful family. They're supposed to have a child. Rivka is very concerned. She said, if I'm going to have a child, the child will carry my traits. If the son going to carry my midot, my traits, I came from a very bad place. I don't want him to be a mafia guy. I don't want him to have a criminal head, to act like my siblings. The Gemara says, הנושא אישה צריך שיבדוק באחיה. Somebody married a woman, you need to look on our siblings. By the way, that was only back then, that everything was at home. So then the siblings will be similar, your children will be similar to your wife's sibling. Today, Baruch Hashem, women has access to Shiurei Torah, they go to seminar, so the comparison to the brother is not valid anymore in our generation. But back then, she looked at herself, she expects her children to be similar to Lavan. She didn't want to have another Lavan at home. And therefore she prayed that the boy that she will be pregnant with is going to be boy only with the characters of Yitzchak, Tzadik ben Tzadik. So who she is in the story, segregate mother. You know, segregate mother, she's only carried the baby. She's not part of the baby. That was her tefillah. What's with the tefillah of Yitzchak? Yitzchak admired his wife. I want to have a child like her. She's the most special woman. She came from all this background, and yet she's such a tzaddiket. I want the child to be like her. So therefore they were sitting in two corners. And Hashem listened to the tefillah of Yitzchak because Tzadik ben Tzadik can see the quality of Tzadik ben Rasha. Baal Tshuva doesn't appreciate himself enough, and a lot of time Baal Tshuva triggers himself to do a lot of chumrot, a lot of extreme stuff, because he doesn't appreciate himself. So Tzadik ben Tzadik can appreciate Tzadik, son of Rasha. So therefore Yitzchak, tefillah was accepted. There were two children, Yaakov and Esau. If you look at it, Yaakov, who is Yaakov's tefillah? Who is the tefillah of Yaakov? Rivka. Rivka prayed to have a child out of Yitzchak. Who is the Esau's tefillah? Yitzchak. He wants to have a son from Rivka. So each one received his own tefillah. Esau received a child. Yitzchak received the child of Rivka, and Rivka received the child of Yitzchak. Therefore, who were the favorite? You know, every parents have favorites. They just don't say who, and each one thinks that his sibling is the favorite, not himself. But was a favorite. Who was a favorite? Yitzchak was the favorite of Esau. Was the favorite of Yitzchak. Should I make you the favorite? Yitzchak was my Yitzchak was the favorite, Esau was the favorite of Yitzchak, and Yaakov was the favorite of Rivka. She protected him, she wanted to make sure he gets the brachot. The way Yitzchak dealt with Esau was way beyond regular behavior. He made him feel that he believed on him, that he's a big tzaddik. Esau asked him a question, how do you do maaser to water? There is no maaser to water with soul. But he made him feel good about himself because Yitzchak felt obligation. Meaning, Yitzchak's tefillah to Yitzchak, when he prayed to have Esau, his life is all about Esau, not about him. If the tefillah of Yitzchak was about him, it was supposed to be connected to Yaakov. Yet the tefillah of Yitzchak, it's about Esau. He wants Esau to be part of him. That's his favorite special son. Fast forward, they're supposed to get married. Leah needs to be married into Esau, and Esau needs to be married into Rachel to Yaakov. Let's try to understand what was their personality. What the mother gives in marriage to the child and what the father gives. The Gemara says, Ima meshadalto bidvarim. She's the hugging person. She's making him the torta, the food that he loves. She's taking care of the children. She gives him the warmth, the connection. What does a father gives in marriage? Bitachon, security. Abba Chazar, I told you. Many parents think that if I'll let my kids do whatever they want, they're going to be better kids. It's the opposite. Kids need somebody strong. And that's the job of the father. Every hour say, how come mothers complain? He listened to his father more than to his mother. That means you have a healthy home. Because father is the scary, the security, the bitachon, versus mother is the warmth, the hugging, the connection. Children who grew up on single family homes will come out differently with the following. Children who grew up only with a mother help a person to be warm, to content himself, to feel good about himself, who he is. Father give a child bitachon. make him feel you're strong, אתה חזק. When Esav and Yaakov grew, it said, ויגדלו הנערים, they grew up, ויהי עשיו, איש יודע ציד, איש שדה. ויעקב איש תם, יושב אוהלים. Yaakov was a man who יודע ציד, he does that to shoot, trap people. And Yaakov is יושב אוהלים. Why? Yaakov was raised by his mom. He know how to content himself. He sits in the Bet Midrash, he's learning, he's happy, he's calm with himself. Aval, Esav, where does he get his validation from? Outside! He needs to get his validation outside. He needs to go out by controlling others. That's how he feels security, he feels good about himself. Yaakov doesn't need to control anybody. Yaakov feels good who he is, sitting and learning, he's an amazing boy. Esav needs to control other people, and only through that he feels good about himself. Esav needs to marry Leah, and Yaakov needs to marry Rachel. Mara says that Leah, she's compared to a male, not Mara, it's a Shla Kadosh, and Rachel compared to a woman. יש תיקון לאה, תיקון רחל, תיקון חצות, man and woman. What? Initially, Leah is supposed to be married to Esau, which is similar people, men, strength, and Rachel, the warmth person, needs to be married to Yaakov. Leah knows that for her potential in life, to feel fulfilled, to feel good about herself, she needs to be married with Esau. That's her personality where it fits better. Leah understands that she will feel good about herself having good relationship close to the neshama of neshama, because the neshama of Leah is the neshama of Esau. She was willing to give it up just not to live with a Rasha. But what's the alternative? To marry to Yaakov, נכון? She doesn't fit to Yaakov. She was crying all day. Why are you crying? If you're not going to marry to Esau, we're going to marry to Yaakov. מה הבעיה? Either way, she's going to get it wrong. If she married to Esau, he's a Rasha. If she's going to marry to Yaakov, he's not her soulmate. She's not going to be connected to him. Therefore, she's crying all day. She knows that she's going to get screwed. She's going to mess up for life. Baruch Hashem, the wedding happened. Like we said, Lavan tricked Yaakov, and Yaakov now is being married to Leah and Rachel. What's the feeling of Leah in this marriage? Snua. Why she feel hated? Leah understand, I'm not a soulmate, I'm not connected to Yaakov, so as Yaakov is not connected to me. If you are not connected, who am I in this marriage? Nobody. What's the position of Leah in this marriage? This marriage prevents her from marrying into Esau. She is connected to Yaakov? Look. Who is Rachel in this marriage? Fully connected to Yaakov. He loved Rachel from first sight. For him, that was his dream. She fully emotionally connected to Yaakov. One of the biggest things that a man can feel empty in life is by not having any ability to give. Leah knows she cannot bring children at this point. Therefore, she has zero to give to Yaakov. The Gemara says in Edry, 3 people, chashuv kemeh. 3 people are equivalent like dead. Poor people, metzora, and somebody has no kids. The common denominator, if you are unable to give others, you are nobody. I just want to clarify, people who are not having kids is referring to people who are not trying to have kids. People who are trying to have kids, they're considered as givers to the world, and they are not part of the category. The Torah said she is poor. Why she is poor? She cannot give anything to Yaakov. But she's something else, snua. What snua means? What's being hated means? We know we have the famous concept of sinat chinam. How would anybody hate somebody else for no reason? Bagel, what's wrong with you? You hate somebody for no reason? What is sinat chinam? Sinat chinam means that if somebody going to tell me, look, Rabbi Edry, you're short, would I be offended? No. First, I'm standing on top of it here. I know my height. Baruch Hashem, I'll be very calm. If somebody's going to come by and tell me, Rabbi Edry, you're dumb, would I be offended? Okay, maybe he's right. Where I'm not secure about myself, this is where I'm getting offended by others. Where I feel good about myself, no one can get to me. Somebody going to tell me, you don't know how to play soccer. I don't know how to play. Somebody tell me, you don't know how to learn Torah. Maybe I don't know. This is where I'm insecure. Where our insecurity come out across on other people, only on areas that we're uncomfortable. So therefore, if you hate somebody who told you something, it means what? You're insecure. So who do you really hate? Yourself. You don't hate them. That's why it's called sinat chinam. You're hating him. I was like, no, it's you. If he's right, I was saying, if he's right, so what do you want? If he's wrong, what do you care? No, it shows your insecurity, and therefore you feel being hated. She felt hated. Why? She felt she has nothing to give in this marriage. On her perspective, Yaakov doesn't give her back anything in this marriage. And therefore, she is hated, feel hated. She doesn't receive anything from her husband. And second, she has nothing to give. Hashem realized she's poor, she has nothing to give. And he said, okay, you're going to have children. Having children redefine Leah. She becomes a giver in one day. And therefore, Kishama Hashem be'oni. Hashem listened to me, I'm poor, I'm miskena, and Hashem opened me and gave me an ability to give. Leah, in her perspective, first step, she's a giver, she's not poor anymore. Second step, she hated. She feels very taken advantage of this relationship. She's the only one who gives. She bringing children to Yaakov, but Yaakov doesn't give her anything back. Who does Yaakov love? Rachel. If he doesn't like me, I'm stuck. Therefore, she felt, first she was poor, not able to give. After she was able to give, this is when she felt hated. Because you feel uncomfortable. I'm giving you, but am I nothing to you? We are not close, we're not together. Until she had the third child. Levi means, she said, he cannot complain about me. We asked, she was excited. Third child, Yaakov is not complaining. Why didn't bring the quantity of children I'm supposed to bring? Why are you, what is your concern? Why would he complain? Did he complain on Rachel not having children? No, there was two different relationships. Rachel, it's his soulmate. She's giving to him personally. You have it to she's close to him. Aval, Leah, she has nothing on a personal level to give him. The only thing she can give him is bringing children that he needs. So therefore she said, now I reach my potential to Yaakov. Now he needs me. I got him the 3 kids, but still we are apart. I am not connected emotionally to him because he doesn't recognize me as that. But Rachel is the one. Come Rachel to the picture after the first child of Yehuda, and she was angry. How come my sister, she was jealous on her sister. How come she has children and I don't have children? Rashi says it's gotta be Shema'aseh, she has better deeds. So if she has better deeds, the question is, Rachel, do better deeds, do Maasim Tovim. If the only reason Leah has children, she thought, because of Maasim Tovim she does, then she should do Maasim Tovim, she's going to have children. What's the Maasim Tovim that trigger Leah to have children? What's so special? The Ron El Chesed organization? No. The Maaseh Tov of Leah was, Leah came to Yaakov to this marriage, nothing about herself. It's all about Yaakov. Rachel came to this marriage about herself. She cannot reach the level of Leah. Leah is way above her level. And she has a point to Yaakov. Yaakov, what's going on over here? Rachel has Maasim Tovim, and that's the only reason she had, Leah has Maasim Tovim, that's the reason she has children. I don't have Maasim Tovim, I cannot create this Maasim Tovim. You want me to hate you too? No, we love each other. So what is your responsibility as Yaakov? Pray for your wife. He said, she told them, pray to your wife, for your wife to have children, just like Yitzchak prayed for Rivka. We said Yitzchak didn't pray for Rivka, he prayed for himself. And the way we explain it is simple. Yitzchak, who did he pray to have children? Only Rivka. Because Yitzchak Tfilah was a child like Rivka. Rivka Tfilah was a child like Yitzchak. So she has a valid point. Your father wasn't selfish. And he prayed for his wife, Rivka, to have children. Although you have already children from Leah, yet you should pray for me. Don't be selfish. Vayichal Yaakov and Rachel, he's getting so upset. When do husband getting upset? Anybody knows as a woman knows? When the husband getting upset? When husband does everything for his wife, and this is where she complain about him, this is getting upset the most. Like, yeah, you don't care about me. What if I don't care about you? I did for you, I don't care about you. Husband getting upset the most when things that they did for their wife, this is what they're complaining about. Says Yaakov. Hold on, you're misunderstanding the whole story over here. Do you know why Leah has children? Nothing to do with her Maasim Tovim. Because I prayed for her. Do you know who else I prayed for? I prayed for you. Which means, Leah and Rachel viewed that Yaakov doesn't like Rachel. That's how Rachel always presented when that's how Leah presented. When her and Rachel spoke, Leah said, I'm so sorry for you that he doesn't really like you, but what can I do? Says Yaakov, it's all false. You're building ideas that never happened. I love my wife, Leah. She felt hated. He never hated her. That was her imagination. She was insecure about herself. Anytime we say sin'ah means sin'at chinam. It's not true. She felt hated because she was very insecure about herself. Yet, he cared about his wife. He cared about Leah and he cared about Rachel. Says Yaakov, I prayed for you and for Leah. Leah accused Yaakov, you're not a good husband. Rachel accused Yaakov, you're not a good husband. You never prayed for me. He's like, I prayed for you, and I prayed for Rachel. What do you want from me? This is Vayichal. This is the anger. He's so upset. Like, I did what you're complaining about me. That's what I did for you, and you're complaining. Therefore, he told her something harsh but important. Mimech mana. I prayed for you, and I prayed for Leah. So Hashem decided that Leah will have children, and you not going to have children. So in another way, he's telling his wife, think about it, maybe something is wrong with you. This is the last thing that I should tell your wife, by the way. It's only Yaakov was successful once in history to tell his wife that she's wrong. It doesn't work anywhere. He was able to give her that message, but it came with a different message. Since the concern of Rachel was, you don't care about me, you don't pray for me, he gave her the opposite message. I care about you, I pray for you so much, but you have to do something. What was wrong with Rachel? Rachel, she was a job. What's a job? Jewish American princess. Rachel, she was a cute girl. She looked so good. And everybody knows she's going to marry into Yaakov, Very chashuv husband. She was the most good-looking one. And she always felt good in the relationship. And Yaakov worked for her hard, 14 years of work. But he worked for her very much, so many years. Yaakov had to work for her. What she feels in this marriage? I'm the queen. Yaakov needs me. I don't have to do anything. He asked her, can you do laundry? Me? No. Talk to the cleaning lady. Talk to Bilha, the shivcha. I'm not going to do laundry. She felt. See, Rachel living on a big, deep, deep issue. She felt, by the way, I saw it once. I saw a friend of mine who remarried on later stage in his life with a young girl. 15 years, over 15 years younger than him, single girl. And he chased her to marry her, and he has a lot of money. And you see, and always, like sugar daddy, always chasing her and try to be the one. Because if you chase, she doesn't need to prove himself, she doesn't need to do anything. Says Yaakov to Rachel, honey, you have a problem, Shama. Having children, you know why Rachel had children and you didn't have children? Why Leah had children, thank you, and you don't have children? You know why Rachel had children and you didn't have children? Very simple. Leah is a giver. She's just giving. She just cares about others. You don't give anything. What do you do, Leah? You're sitting on your phone all day long, do nothing? What do you do? Nothing. You gotta do something. How do you do? And this is where he brought her the idea. He said, my grandmother, Sarah, she was in a similar situation a little bit. When she realized she has no children, what did she do? She became a giver. How do you give? The Torah called second wife tzara. Lama tzara? You know, in Hebrew we say tzara, it's a big tragedy. But tzara comes from the word tsar, narrow. In order to bring another wife into the home, you gotta shrink yourself to give space to somebody else. Says Yaakov, Rachel, you want to achieve? You have to create a change. You have to shrink yourself. Be smaller, give to somebody else. And suddenly we see, read the Psukim, huge transition in the Torah on the behavior of Rachel. The Torah said that she brought Bilha Shifchata to Shifcha, and when she had the first child, Vayom Batomer Rachel Danani Elohim, וגם שמע בקולי, ויתן לי בן, ותקרא, על כן קרא שמו דן. Rachel was able to see her mate getting married to Yaakov, and to have the same happiness as if it's her own child, ויתן לי בן. It's called Dan. מה זה דנני? says the Midrash, Hashem דן אותי, חייב אותי, וזיכה אותי. He judged me, he obligated me, and he married me. He judged me by not having children. He forced me, חייב אותי, changing my approach. And now, he זיכה אותי. He changed my identity. Now, there was a big change now in the relationship between Rivka to Yaakov. Up to now, Rachel to Yaakov. Up to now, Rachel was the receiver in this relationship. Now, Rachel became the giver in this relationship. But there is an advantage. You have giver from Rachel and a giver from Yaakov. Both of them are givers. They have the most perfect relationship ever. Leah and Yaakov don't have the right relationship. Yaakov is a giver. The problem is Leah doesn't recognize him to be a giver. When two people giving and they don't recognize each other to be a giver, they're not real givers. The Torah says that when Leah had the first child, the child of Reuven, כי ראה, as she said, ראו מה בין בני לבין חמי. See what's the difference between my child to the son of my father-in-law. Why? Because her child was a child that she just gave to. Esav was a son of her father-in-law, a man that only gave. Yitzchak was similar to Leah. Both of them just gave to their children. So Esav and Reuven, by the way, together have the same characteristics. Both of them being empowered, and they get the recognition from the outside, not within themselves. When you get the recognition from the outside, like similar Leah and Yaakov and Yitzchak, they don't have their own content like Yaakov. They get it from the outside. Reuven was supposed to be the Bechor. What did he do wrong by Bechor?
He bought the mattress.
He bought the mattress, and also by Yosef HaTzadik, when they threw Yosef to the pit, how did he handle it? He said, I'm going to come later and I'm take him out. Are you a leader? A leader who get recognized by his people, he will never confront his people. A leader who get recognized by himself, he will do the right thing despite the opinion of his people. Reuven is the same person as Esav. The strength coming only from the outside recognition, and therefore she compared herself to Esav, the son of my father-in-law, to Reuven. Who replaced Reuven Bechorah? Yosef. Yosef is instead of Reuven. The Gemara says, when Yosef came into the world, after Yosef came into the world, this is where Yaakov got up and he said, Yalla, I have to get out of Lavan, I can win Esav. Yosef is the example of winning Esav over. What's so special about Yosef? Very interesting. Esav grew up with his father's connection, so therefore he get empowered by the outside. because it's get only the trust. That who was Esav. The original wife for Esav was who? Leah. Nobody thought of Rachel being a wife. After Rachel having a child, we understood that maybe she was a wife. Why would Rachel be a good wife for Esav? What is Esav missing in his life? Warmth. Home. He needs somebody to give him a hug, to make him feel good about himself. He doesn't get it from his mom. A woman who feels hated cannot give the worth to her children. Therefore, she was similar to a man. We see it elsewhere. We said in the Shlach Kadosh, etc. She was like a mentor to him. He needed a good woman. All of the wife of Esav was about themselves, not about Esav. So we see they were maktir ktoret, they brought korbanot, they got the house smoke against his will. They didn't care about him. They all used him. If Esav got married Rachel, who is Rachel? The most giving woman ever. She is the solution for Esav's problem. There was another girl, solution for Esav's problem. Dinah. Who was Dinah? Dinah, Leah was pregnant with a boy. Rachel was pregnant with a daughter. Leah saw that she's going to have a seventh child. That means Rachel will have only one child. She's going to be less than the shfachot. So therefore she prayed to Hashem, let's switch. So Hashem sent, UPS, FedEx, he switched between the stomachs. He gave Rachel, he gave Dinah to Leah, and Yosef to Rachel. Dinah. So Dinah was really a daughter of who? Rachel. She's the remedy also for Esav. Therefore, when Yaakov had Dinah, he was blamed for that. Why are you blaming her? You're right, you cannot let your daughter marry the Rasha. But your daughter has what Esav is missing. So as Rachel. So when he met, by the way, when he met her, he put Rachel, he put Dinah, when he met Esav, he put Dinah in a box, and Rachel behind him. Gemara said that Yosef HaTzadik hid Rachel from Esav, because he understands that Rachel is the remedy for Esav. Therefore, as Rachel herself was concerned, maybe I'm supposed to be his wife, because she has that quality, that ability. But conclusion, we see that Yosef was the winner against Esav. Why was the winner? Where Yosef came from? Leah. He was originally the stomach of Leah. Who he was raised by? Rachel. What do you need in order to win Esav? You need somebody strong or emotional? You need both. Yosef has both. He has the emotional connection and he has the bitachon, the strength. And you see throughout the journey of Yosef leadership, one thing's very hard for leaders is many leaders are very technical, not emotional about their nation. Because usually people with vision, they're less grounded. That's why men, it's less grounded to situation. Men will give his children, when he babysits, big bags of chips, where mom says, what's wrong with you? He's going to have stomachache. I didn't know. Because man is less has awareness to the details. Yosef, as a leader, he was able to relate. As a leader, you see him running the nation, but as an individual, you see him warming to the nation. He gathered the nation. He made them into one piece. Yosef has those two qualities together. By the way, on a classic marriage, the marriage between Yaakov and Rachel was not the most classic marriage because Rachel was the giver and Yosef was also the warmth. The ideal one is Yaakov was warm and Rachel was warm. The ideal was Yosef from Leah. Every house in Am Yisrael, on the whole world, has those two healthy. The husband is the vision. It's one of the thoughts he wanted to do, and the wife the practical. What people in vision need, and what practical people need?
Each other.
Visionaries need to be agreed. I have a vision, wow, very good. Don't shut my vision. Visionaries, if you're going to tell them, no, you're stupid, what do you want? You want to move a house? What's wrong with you? We have no money, it's impossible. You shut off his vision. You cannot shut vision people off. What people with feeling, what do they need? They need their feelings to be recognized. Huh? That's basics. So if a husband telling his wife, honey, I want to move a house, I think in a week I found something, we can move already in 1 week. In his vision, it's good, נכון? In her practical life, emotions, what do we know? A week we're going to move? You know, women cannot do quick moving because we are not attached to reality as much. So when we can just create a move, no problem, tomorrow we move. Why a woman takes an hour and a half to get dressed and it went 5 minutes? Because for a woman to get dressed, you're changing yourself. You look something new. So that's a change. Any change in life needs to have a transition. Men, they don't need a transition because we are not connected at all. So if a woman wants to tell her husband she doesn't want to move, and her husband wants to tell his wife, stop blocking me and holding me back, we want to move. They never fed the need of each other. A woman needs to feed the need of her husband by, if he has a vision, recognize the vision. Wow, what a great idea. How are we going to do it? You know, we have no money, you know. No, I have a way to do it, combine it. Wow, that's so special. You recognize him. But let me tell you something. It's very hard for me. For me to move now, I'm set a lot of my boxes, you know, as a woman, it's very difficult for her. She didn't put him down, and she brought her needs in front of him. Then, every man has a nature, every man wants to make his wife happy. That's a reality. So if he sees that his idea is not being put down, and she has her needs, her really practical needs, he will relate to it and he's not going to feel being held. Most of the argument at home based on these foundations. By the way, the opposite is the same. If the husband, instead of telling his wife right away, what do you mean? Every time you're holding me, he says, no, honey, what's bothering you? I want to understand. It's difficult for you to create a change? It's difficult for you to move? Wow, it's very hard. I understand, it's very difficult. If he approaches his wife like that, she's going to be able to approach his vision and tell them, by the way, no, I understand where you're coming from, but how is that possible? When we understand the two figures that a house, a healthy home needs to come with, every child that lives in a house where the husband control or the wife control, it's a problem. A house, it's a harmony between husband and wife. You know, somebody told me once, when a person listened to his wife, he said his wife is controlling him. No. The person who listens to his wife, he's not controlling him. It's very messed up thinking, especially Sfaradim, Moroccans. If you relate to her feelings or her needs, she can relate to your dreams. And then you can put it in together. But if each one of you looking on each other, I'm pulling one side, you're pulling to the other side, there is no way to maintain it. A healthy home needs both. A healthy home needs a personality of warmth and giver, and it needs the strength. Any spouse who put down the other spouse for who they are, they're ruining their own children, and they're ruining themselves. A woman needs to have somebody strong, but she cannot put his strength down when it's come to her difficulties. She needs to know how to address it and to do exactly to empower him. So our message of this week, Parashat, understanding the complex between Leah and Rachel. Rachel feeling hated. She needs to bring children into the world to get the recognition as a wife. Yet she feels hated, she will never receive it, and she always felt missing. Rachel is the woman who's blaming her husband not taking care of her while he was really fully taking care of her. She was too much into herself to recognize that point. She came out of it only by taking care of others, taking responsibility for others, putting somebody else into the picture. And Yaakov Avinu, I think, is the most role model where he's able to contain two wives, even if one of them feels being hated. On his approach, he's giving to her. But unfortunately, on the other end, she didn't want to recognize what he gave her as a contribution to her, because of her lack of self-esteem, being uncomfortable with who she is. And our responsibility, like we say, to carry it at home, to build the house right, to give each one the right place as we need. That's two components at home. Hashem should give everybody, those who need to get married, בקרוב, בזמן הנכון, אמן, and children בזמן הנכון, אמן. רבי חנן, כשאומר, צריך לבוא בזמן,